The pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We are reading through the Bible with commentary. We are in the book of 2 Kings. We are up to chapter 14, although I think I was asleep in the last session. I have been doing an awful lot this week, getting ready for a lot, and just was very low on sleep when I did the last session. So because I read about Elisha when he passed away and they buried him, and when they buried him, a man was being buried, and when he landed on Elisha's bones, he came back to life. And I can't believe I wasn't more excited about that. And also that King Hazael was died and and his son Ben-Hadad replaced him. So now we are up to chapter 14. We still have Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, who took from Ben-Hadad the towns that his father had lost. So we still have Jehoash, also known as Joash. And so chapter 14, in the second year of King Joash, which is the same as Jehoash, son of Joahaz of Israel, King Amaziah, son of Joash of Judah, Joash of Israel, Joash of Judah. We wonder why it's confusing, and there's just a whole bunch of kings in the book of Kings. Not surprising, that's why it's called Kings. And today we're going to go through a bunch of them. So when the King Amaziah, son of Joash of Judah, began to reign. So the king in Judah now is Amaziah. And he started in the second year of King Joash of Israel. That's the north. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoadin of Jerusalem. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord, yet not like his ancestor David. In all things he did as his father Joash had done. But the high places were not removed. The people still sacrificed and made offerings on the high places. So the writers, possibly plural writers, the people who put together the book of Kings, have opinions about whether a king was a good king or a not good king. And they pretty much used the measuring stick as David. And the worst one was Jeroboam, who was the one that broke off in the north, and he set up golden calves, and they all were following Baal and Astarte and Asherah. And in the south, they did a little better in Judah, but not always. And sometimes they also were intermarrying with people from the north, and they were pretty idolatrous as well. But here, Joash in the south had some reforms and had really kind of cleaned up the worship, except people would still go up on the top of a mountain and offer things to God there. So they didn't remove that, but the rest of it was pretty good. Verse 5, as soon as the royal power was firmly in his hand, he killed his servants who had murdered his father the king. But he did not put to death the children of the murderers, according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, where the Lord commanded, the parents shall not be put to death for the children, or the children be put to death for the parents, but all shall be put to death for their own sins. So this is kind of, why do we read the book of Deuteronomy? Because then the book of Deuteronomy keeps coming up as we read through the rest of the Bible. And in this particular case, Amaziah is following the law in Deuteronomy, only killing the parents. But as we've read over and over in the book of Kings, sometimes they wipe out every male descendant of a given person because it's the end of that dynasty, and then nobody can come along, as Joash in the south did, because his grandmother wiped out all of the children. Joash was stolen away as a baby, and when he was 7 was made king. And then people apparently killed him, but then his son is now the king. But he didn't wipe out everybody. He just wiped out the ones that were guilty, which means he's kind of trying to follow the law. And this is the thing, when we're like, oh, this Old Testament law, it's so harsh. Actually, it was a lot more moderate when the standard was to kill them all. The standard was capital punishment. The standard was, you did this thing to my people or my daughter or my whoever, and therefore I'm going to kill you. And vengeance and rebuttal and feuding was the norm. And you would have, this crime would be paid for, there'd be a feud, and they'd go back after them with a bigger crime and then a bigger crime, and it just escalated. And the idea of an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth is to say to make it even and no more. And so Back to Amaziah. Verse 7. He killed 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt and took Selah by storm. He called it Joktheel, which is its name to this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to King Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, of Israel, saying, "Come, let us look one another in the face." In other words, let's have a war. King Jehoash of Israel sent word to King Amaziah of Judah, "A thorn bush on Lebanon sent to a cedar in Lebanon, saying, 'Give your daughter to my son for a wife.' But a wild animal of Lebanon passed by and trampled down the thorn bush. You have indeed defeated Edom, and your heart has lifted you up. Be content with your glory and stay at home. For why should you provoke trouble so that you fall, you and Judah with you?" So he had defeated the Edomites, and now he's thinking, well, I'm going to go take on the Israelites in the north. Verse 11, but Amaziah would not listen. So King Jehoash of Israel went up. He and King Amaziah of Judah faced one another in battle at Bethshemesh, which belongs to Judah. Judah was defeated by Israel. Everyone fled home. King Jehoash of Israel captured King Amaziah of Judah, son of Jehoash, son of Ahaziah, at Bethshemesh. He came to Jerusalem and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate, a distance of 400 cubits. He seized all the gold. So a cubit is about the length of a man's forearm, so like a foot and a half. So King Jehoash has come and taken down a big chunk of the wall, probably about 650, 700 feet worth, and I'm not good how many is that. So 600 feet would be 200 yards. So a couple of football field lengths of the wall get torn down by Jehoash. And yet what's worse, not only did he break down the wall, verse 14, he seized all the gold and silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house, as well as hostages. Then he returned to Samaria. Now the rest of the acts that Jehoash did, his might, and how he fought with King Amaziah of Judah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehoash slept with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Then his son Jeroboam succeeded him, and this is Jeroboam the second, because original Jeroboam was the one who broke away from King Solomon's son Rehoboam, and yes, it's confusing. So, continue. Where were we? Verse 17. King Amaziah, son of Joash of Judah, lived 15 years after the death of King Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz of Israel. And the footnote I have in my study Bible says that's not normal. They don't usually say he lived an extra 15 years, which is sort of his way of saying, okay, I lost the battle, but I outlived you. I don't know if I buy that footnote or not. Verse 18, now the rest of the deeds of Amaziah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? They made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent after him to Lachish and killed him there. They brought him on horses. He was buried in Jerusalem with his ancestors in the city of David. All the people of Judah took Azariah, who was 16 years old, and made him king to succeed his father Amaziah. He rebuilt Elath and restored it to Judah after King Amaziah slept with his ancestors. So they killed him, but then his son still became king. And again, footnote was suggesting, well, maybe because he went to war unnecessarily against Israel, and this is why they killed him. But it was a lot. It was 15 years later, so it does not say why there was a conspiracy and he was killed. But his son did succeed after him. And Amaziah and his son Azariah. Verse 23, in the 15th year of King Amaziah, son of Joash of Judah, King Jeroboam, son of Joash of Israel, began to reign in Samaria. He reigned 41 years. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from all the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he caused Israel to sin. So in other words, there's still golden calves on the north and south borders. There's still poles to Baal, Asherah poles and things to Baal. Just all kinds of idolatry going on there. But he was a strong person. Verse 25, he restored the border of Israel from Lebo Hamath, as far as the sea of the Arabah, according to the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, which he spoke by his servant Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet, who was from Gath-hepher. For the Lord saw the distress of Israel was very bitter. There was no one left, bond or free, and no one to help Israel. But the Lord had not said that he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven. So he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam, son of Joash. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, and all that he did, and all his might, how he fought, and how he recovered for Israel Damascus and Hamath, which had belonged to Judah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the king of Israel? Jeroboam slept with his ancestors, the kings of Israel. His son Zechariah succeeded him. Chapter 15. In the 27th year of King Jeroboam of Israel, King Azariah, son of Amaziah of Judah, began to reign. He was 16 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jecoliah of Jerusalem. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord, just as his father Amaziah had done. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and made offerings on the high places. The Lord struck the king so that he was leprous to the day of his death, and lived in a separate house. So as we've mentioned before, when they say leprous or somebody has leprosy, it is not what is necessarily we think of leprosy today, is actually called Hansen's disease. It might have been Hansen's disease, but it also could have been poison ivy or scabies or impetigo or just all kinds of different rashes, any kind of skin disease. If it's a spreading skin disease, if it's contagious, then you have to live separately and you are unclean. So even though he is the king, he has some kind of skin disease and he has to live separately from the rest. So he lived in a separate house because he has a skin disease of some type. So they call it, to say that he's leprous, but to understand that leprous in this case is not, it could be leprosy, but it might not be. Jotham, the king's son, was in charge of the palace, governing the people of the land. Now the rest of the acts of Azariah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Azariah slept with his ancestors. They buried him with his ancestors in the city of David. His son Jotham succeeded him. And apparently Jotham had some practice because he's running things while his father's living in a separate house. Verse 8. In the 38th year of King Azariah of Judah, Zechariah, son of Jeroboam, reigned over Israel in Samaria 6 months. So not very long. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his ancestors had done. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he caused Israel to sin. Shallum, son of Jabesh, conspired against him, and struck him down in public, and killed him, and reigned in place of him. Now the rest of the deeds of Zechariah are written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. This was the promise of the Lord, that he gave to Jehu, your sons shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. And so it happened. And then you can guess that dynasty is about to end. Verse 13. Shallum, son of Jabesh, began to reign in the 39th year of King Uzziah of Judah. Uzziah and Azariah are the same king. So Azariah, either it's a nickname or maybe a name that he took on when he became the king, or maybe people don't like saying Azariah, so they just say Uzziah. He reigned 1 month in Samaria. Then Menahem, son of Gadai, came from Tirzah and came to Samaria. He struck down Shallum, son of Jabesh, in Samaria and killed him. He reigned in place of him. Now the rest of the deeds of Shallum, including the conspiracy that he made, are written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. At that time, Menahem sacked Tirzah, all who were in it and its territory from Tirzah on. Because they did not open it to him, he sacked it. He ripped open all the pregnant women in it. I hate reading this part where there's just these atrocities that happen, and they're just written there, and that's what he did. So Menahem, not a good guy. Verse 17. In the 39th year of King Azariah of Judah, Menahem, son of Gadai, began to reign in Israel, and he reigned 10 years in Samaria. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. I mean, aside from ripping open pregnant ladies, I don't think he was a great guy. He did not depart all his days from any of the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Oh my, stop. Why is my phone, wants to make commentary. So where were we? We're in Menahem. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart all his days from any of the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he caused Israel to sin. Verse 19. King Pul of Assyria came against the land. Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver so that he might help him confirm his hold on the royal power. So a talent is a large amount. So if he's giving him 1,000 talents of silver, it's a really, really large amount of silver that Menahem is giving to King Pul. Menahem exacted the money from Israel, that is, from all the wealthy, 50 shekels of silver from each one, to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and did not stay there in the land. Now the rest of the deeds of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Menahem slept with his ancestors, and his son Pekahiah succeeded him. So all the way, again, according to my footnotes, Assyria is now gaining in power. It's becoming quite strong, and so they are very much threatening the northern kingdom. So Menahem, who is the one currently reigning in the north, just basically gives them a huge amount of money and says, please don't invade us. And he's like, okay, turns around and does not invade. Verse 23, in the 50th year of King Azariah of Judah, Pekahiah, son of Menahem, began to reign over Israel and Samaria. He reigned 2 years. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he caused Israel to sin. So it's because he is the king. All these people, all of these kings are in charge of Israel. They set the tone, they give the guidance. If the king says, get rid of these golden calves, let's follow the Lord, the people would be like, okay. But since the king does not remove the golden calves, does not remove the high places, does not follow the Lord, the people don't follow the Lord. And this is why leadership, it kind of matters. What kind of direction does a leader set? What is the direction they had? What is the tone they set? What are the things that they say they're going to do? Because as leaders go, oftentimes that's how the people go as well. Verse 25, Pekah, son of Remaliah, his captain, conspired against him with 50 of the Gileadites and attacked him in Samaria in the citadel of the palace, along with Argob and Ariel. He killed him and reigned in place of him. Now the rest of the deeds of Pekahiah and all that he did are written in the book of annals of the kings of Israel. So many kings, and these 2 chapters just have a ridiculous number of kings. Verse 27, in the 52nd year of King Azariah of Judah, Pekah, son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel and Samaria. He reigned 20 years. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he caused Israel to sin. Verse 29, in the days of King Pekah of Israel, King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria came and captured Ijon, Abel-Beth-Maacah, Genoa, Kedesh, Hazor, Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and he carried the people captive to Assyria. So the northern kingdom is losing major chunks of territory, which are now part of Assyria, and when the Assyrians come, they take everybody away. Then Hoshea, son of Elah, made a conspiracy against Pekah, son of Remaliah, attacked him and killed him. He reigned in place of him in the 20th year of Jotham, son of Uzziah. Now the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did are written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. In the 2nd year of King Pekah of Remaliah of Israel, remember King Jotham? Well, he's been there for 52 years in the south. I think I just said that wrong. It wasn't King Jotham, it was Jotham's father. Uzziah. I'm like looking right at it. So Uzziah was there. Amaziah, who became Uzziah, was there for 52 years. So we've been reading about all these kings in the north. King, 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 king. And Menahem, Pekahiah, Pekah, and now we have Jotham in the south. King Jotham, son of Uzziah of Judah, began to reign. Verse 33. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, daughter of Zadok. He did what was right in the sight of the Lord, just as his father Uzziah had done. Nevertheless, the high places were not removed. The people still sacrificed and made offerings on the high places. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? In those days the Lord began to send King Rezin of Aram and Pekah, son of Remaliah, against Judah. Jotham slept with his ancestors and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David, his ancestor. His son Ahaz succeeded him. So lots and lots of kings. And as we go further in the Bible, we're going to get through a bunch of poetry, Psalms and Proverbs and Song of Solomon. And eventually we get into the prophets. And some of the prophets that we're going to read about are active during this time and the time that we're about, during these chapters. They're basically predicting, hey, you need to shape up because the Assyrians are going to come wipe you out. And then lo and behold, the Assyrians come and wipe them out. So one of the things is we read through the Bible, it's not necessarily first this, then this, then this, then this. Right now we're reading First and Second Kings. Then we're going to be reading First and Second Chronicles, and we're going to hit a lot of the same kings all over again. But they're not the same. Parts of it are very close, and parts of it are not the same. But it's not necessarily chronological. And then when we get to the prophets, many of the prophets that we'll read about were also during these times of these kings. So, and even when we're within a book, sometimes when we hear the stories about Elisha, they're not necessarily this story, then this story, then this story. They might be, but we don't know for sure. It could be just a collection of stories about Elisha, and this is the order that they ended up in. So you have to be careful sometimes of like, oh, this thing happened, and then immediately after this thing happened, well, maybe not immediately, maybe 7 years or 70 years, or who knows how much, or next could have been a week. Like even in the New Testament, when we get up to the New Testament, you have to watch, because sometimes it's like, did that immediately happen, or was there a gap? And they don't always put in something, so 3 months and 2 days later. They just say sometime later, boom, and there it is. So it's very hard. You can't necessarily say exactly. And of course, scholars try to say exactly how long something was, but you cannot always be precise, but the truth are there. The story, the list of kings and the things that they did are there, and we can extrapolate a lot out of what is in fact there. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace, like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you again next time. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for being here.